In the previous class, I show you how I slice, how I cut the STN inside the SteamView platform. So I have to do that in order to say to the software, okay, now you show me which contacts I'm going to activate it in order to stimulate this volume of tissue. That's the idea. So the first thing to do in Illumina 3D is to cut, to prepare your nucleus. Whatever is the STN, the DPI, VIM, and so on. Once you do that, you save the folder. You can name as Illumina 3D and the date that you are doing that. And then you are going, when you see your patient, you are going to connect the programmer. And once you open up the screen of programmer, I'm going to show you right now, that nucleus that you had prepared will pop up in our screen. So look at here. If you haven't seen the other class, please go back to the class where I teach you how you cut, and then you're going to understand right here. For example, this is a screen of the software to program my patient, and then look how beautiful here. Here I have the electrode. Here I have the motor part of the STN that I had cut before. This is the preparation. And this in orange is the undesirable part of the nucleus that I don't wish to stimulate. So, and then here you're going to choose, for example, the substantia nigra, but the hotspot. Here is the STN right. And for example, the anterior part of the nucleus is this one. So I can remove the other parts just to see these two structures, okay? And now I'm going to say to the software, okay, please, which contacts, which settings I need to activate here in order to stimulate the blue volume. So look at here in 3D view how this electrode was placed. If you see that, you can be happy because you know that you are going to stimulate the hotspot of the nucleus and the patient will improve a lot. So again, you can start program this patient manually. You know, you don't need the Illumina 3D. But once you have the Illumina 3D, the software will help you, will guide you to fit exactly the stimulation where you want. So it's a good way to start the program. Let me put my screen over here just to allow you to know what I'm going to do. Okay, so now we are going to prepare my Illumina. As you can see here, this tool, you're going to click here, and as you can see here, Illumina 3D, you have to turn on here, okay, just this. Once you do that, you can close the screen, and then here where you're reading cathodic, you're going to click here, and you're going to choose Illumina 3D, okay? So which part I wish to stimulate is the right STN. Not all the whole nucleus, but the hotspot. So here is the hotspot STND. This is the right STN hotspot that I have already prepared before. So you can click here, and as you can see, the software already notice that you want to stimulate this blue zone, and then I'm going to calculate the settings. So you have to click here and wait a little bit while this is processing, and now you're going to click in load settings. Okay, So what's happening right now? The software is telling you, okay, if you wish to simulate that blue zone, you're going to put these parameters here. So for example, 40% here, 18 here, 3 here. And as you can see, it's almost impossible to do this manually. This is the idea, so the artificial intelligence of the softwares look at the nucleus, look at the position of the electrode and say, you have to stimulate in this way in order to achieve the best volume inside that nucleus. But look at here, they are saying that you have to put 4.8 milliamps in order to fill up all that structure. But I don't need to put 4.2, it's too much. I made it in the beginning of the program. I overall started the program with 0.3, after a week 0.5 and so forth. So you have to do this way slowly. So I get the idea of the polarity, and I will start slowly. So we are going to accept here. And once the software starts to increase the simulation, I'm going to pause because the patient is in front of me, for example, and then you have to cancel. Okay, so now I'm going to back to the 0. And once I do that, I have 0 milliamp, but I have already all the settings here. And here's my electrode. So let's, for example, start to program a patient. And then I'm going to, this is a kind of monopolar review using the Illumina 3D. So I can start to increase the current, for example, 0.5. And then you're going to examine your patient, the bradykinesia, rigidity, and tremor. And then you keep going up. And then you're going to see the threshold or the limit of stimulation where we achieve the best motor improvement without side effects. And for example, let's imagine that with 1.6 was the best option. Let me show you here in the figure how the VTA is being created. So look at here the VTA. So that is the beautiful of the software. They are, building this VTA in order to stay inside the blue zone, okay? So if you keep putting energy here, look how the energy is inside. Always you have a kind of spill of the current. It's impossible to only create, a field here. You're going to create it over here. But then you use the clinical input from the patient to see whether you are going to see side effects or not. So Illumina, they need your clinical inputs. It's not only completely automatic software. They need that you guide the increase of stimulation. Otherwise, you can enlist some side effects, but the software won't be aware of that. Okay, so that's the idea of Illumina. So the Illumina give you the settings, all the settings. And then once you start the simulation, for example, you can put 0.3, and then you can set a new program, for example, program 2, COP2. And then in the program 2, I'm going to put 0.5, for example, and then I'm going to COP3, and that you learn throughout the course. And then in the 3, I'm going to put, for example, 0.7, and in the 4th group, 0.9, and then this patient is going to come back to my office 1 month later, this first program, and then I start to increase the stimulation. The program 4 will become number 1, and then the 2, 3, 4, I keep going up with the simulation until I'm happy with the clinical effect. And in this way, I will also reduce the medication. This is how we program patients with Parkinson's disease. You have to go is lonely. Otherwise, the patient will feel dyskinesia, it can feel anxiety, psychiatric problems, and so forth. So you go slowly and then you decrease a little bit the medication. And that's the way that you have to do. You can use the Illumina 3D to do that. Okay, it's very nice. Or you can use your monopolar review, and then you can use your own polarities, and then you can start with monopolar stimulation using a single direct contact or the ring mode, depending on the clinical input. But I myself, I think that you have to use the imaging in 100% of the cases. I have to reconstruct the image, or you use the STN platform from Boston or the DBS. And then you have to start programming slowly. And the Illumina 3D, as I mentioned, they guide you, they help you to choose the best contact. Even so, you can manually refine the Illumina 3D. I'm not going to show in this class how I do that, but a spoiler to you, I can, for example, change from steering to custom, and then I can manually, for example, change the percentage here. I can change for example, the anodic here. I can put, for example, this a cathodic stimulation, and then I can go up. If my monopolar review, I felt that this contact is a good way to stimulate, I can change to cathodic and so forth. This is amazing software where we can refine our spot of stimulation. The next class I'm going to teach you why there are many cathodes here and why there is some anodes here. I know that the first glance it seems weird, but in the next class everything will be clear, okay? So if you have some questions, please let me know. I'll be happy to answer. See you.